Hello friends, this is Stephanie, the crafty autist. I find out my results tomorrow, the results of my neurological evaluation to see if I am indeed autistic. And I thought tonight I would go over more of my traits that make me think that I probably am. So my previous video was going over the first part of the very long document I made about my possibly autistic traits, and so I'm going to pick up where I left off last time, and yeah, we'll go from there. The next thing on my list is dealing with meltdowns and shutdowns. What a fun way to start a video. I have had a few meltdowns that I can think of. The biggest meltdown happened when I was homeschooling my oldest in kindergarten, and I was pregnant. I had forgotten to take my antidepressant for 4 days, and that, I think, has a big effect on like how major this particular meltdown was. But so while I was working with my daughter, I could just feel something coming on, and so I sent her and my other daughter downstairs. My husband and son were out shopping or something, so I sent the girls downstairs so that I wouldn't hurt them or scare them, because I was scared that I could possibly do something to them, because I was just feeling so bizarre. But so they were downstairs, so they were safe, and I stayed upstairs, and I was just like pacing around. I was super agitated. I kicked a hole in the kitchen wall, and somehow just ended up curled up on the living room floor in a pile of pillows and blankets, and I was screaming and sobbing. I was rocking back and forth, and it was terrifying. I had never experienced anything like that. Other meltdowns have been milder because there wasn't the withdrawal from the antidepressants. Let's see. Once I had a meltdown when I came home. I had an appointment or something, and I came home and found that my husband and sister and brother-in-law had torn all of the ivy down from the front of the house. They had been talking about it, and I was just like, aha, yeah, that's fun, and went to my appointment, and I got home and the house was just bare. Our house usually has lots of ivy just all over it, and it did need to be trimmed, but they had just like torn all of it down, and I was shocked, and I sat in the car sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. I was sobbing for at least 10 minutes before I was finally able to control myself, get back under control, and go inside and act as if nothing had happened. Shutdowns are a lot more common for me than meltdowns, I think. I just end up getting so overwhelmed with my feelings or my surroundings. I can't talk. I can't hardly move. I can't interact with anyone. I can't look at anyone. I can't respond to anyone. So that happens somewhat frequently. Sometimes I feel this overwhelming need to just escape. Like I need to leave whatever situation I'm in. I usually deal with it by hiding in a closet. I kind of tuck into a small space and camouflage myself. I hide behind the clothes and stuff. This has happened several times. Once I locked myself in my bedroom and then climbed out the window so that no one would know that I had left the house. And then I was embarrassed when I got home and I realized I couldn't climb back in the window because it was too high. and I didn't have my house key, and I had to knock on the door so that my husband would let me in. He didn't even realize I had been gone. Um, yeah, that was when I was fully grown, married, with kids. And I've had instances where, like I'm taking care of toddler or preschooler or something, and I'm patient and I'm gentle, and then suddenly just like snap and just, I can't deal with it, and just, run off and hide in my room. And it's surprising to my husband and kids when it happens, because, well, actually, I don't know why. I do it not too super infrequently, so, yeah. That's like meltdowns and shutdowns and stuff. I experience demand avoidance. Putting things on a to-do list causes me anxiety, even if it's something that I want to do and I'm looking forward to doing. There were a couple things that I needed to get done today, and I was looking forward to, or at least, just, okay, this is stuff that I should do today. And I got like 2 of the 5 things done because I wanted to just stay in bed instead and not do anything. So, like, putting things on a list and knowing that there's something that someone expects of me, even if it's something that I expect of myself, makes me not want to do it, and almost unable to make myself do it. Executive functioning. I have trouble with initiation. I know what needs to be done. I tell myself repeatedly what needs to be done and what I need to do, but I can't get myself to just get up and actually do it. Sometimes it is easier when someone tells me to just do it. It's easier to get started. And it seems like this would counter the demand avoidance. Like when someone expects something of me, it's harder to do it. I don't know. Somehow it's different, and like there's different situations involved, and somehow both are true. Demands make me anxious and contentious, but someone telling me to go ahead and do what I need to do can actually make it so that I actually can do it. This usually applies to things like housework, hygiene, putting away the cookies when I have eaten way too many. Yeah, speaking of eating, eating disorders. I've had binge eating disorder and off and on bulimia since childhood. So yeah, there's that. Sensitivity to certain sounds. This isn't something that people would notice about me really, but certain types of music or types of sound can be overwhelming and unpleasant for me. I have a hard time when the volume of the TV or something is too loud, even when it feels perfectly comfortable to other people. So I have to turn things down. I often see and hear things that don't stand out to other people, and then miss things that are completely obvious to other people. I have specific routines for certain things, like taking a shower. Everything has to be done in a very specific order. I have a specific way that I load the dishwasher, including counting the dishes in the cupboard so that I know how many I have to load of each type, and counting the silverware as I load it so that it's evenly distributed in the compartments. This does end up taking a little bit longer than if I did it differently, but it's important to me that all the dishes are in correctly. When my husband loads the dishwasher, I have to just not be in the kitchen so that I won't sit there and move everything around in the dishwasher as he loads it and put it where it belongs. Or if I don't do that, get really irritated because he's not doing it my way. So yeah, I just have to not be in the kitchen when he's doing the dishes. I do best and am most comfortable when my days are all pretty much the same. Seeing something coming up on the calendar is stressful, even if it's something that I've been looking forward to, because it's a change in my routine. I hate seeing a day or a week or a month with lots of things written on it on the calendar. So that's, yeah. I have a severe aversion to taking baths. I've been this way for years. The idea of taking a bath makes me cringe, it makes me shudder, it makes me feel very uncomfortable, it grosses me out. Usually, like after I would have a baby, the midwife would prescribe sitz baths while I was in the hospital, and I never did it. Now, interestingly, my last childbirth was a water birth, and it was my favorite out of all five. And I've been to a Japanese hot bath and really enjoyed it. But taking a bath in a bathtub, no. No, 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 no. I will not do it. I feel young and insecure compared to everyone around me, everyone else. Even women who are much younger than me, I feel like they're older and stronger and more emotionally mature than me. I absolutely hate talking on the phone and making phone calls. I had a job once where I had to call clients to set up appointments, and so I would sit there with the phone in my hands, planning out exactly what I would say if someone answered and exactly what I would say if I got the answering machine. And so I would dial up the first few numbers, and then I'd panic and hang up and have to calm down and try again. And when I finally was able to actually complete the call, I would either leave a message saying exactly what I had practiced and then hang up feeling half relieved that it was over and I hadn't had to talk to a real person, and half anxious because I knew they would eventually call me back and I'd still have to talk to them. Or I would end up talking to a real person and blunder my way through the conversation to get the appointment set up, and then whichever one happened, I would have to just sit and calm down and recover for a while because the whole thing had been such a stressful experience. I am better about phone calls now, but I will procrastinate them far longer than I should. Sometimes weeks or even months, like if it's a medical problem that isn't an emergency. And if I can delegate my husband to make the phone call instead, I will. Even like to make appointments for me. I wear the same pants almost every day. I talked about doing that in middle school, and yeah, I still do it. It's easier than deciding something different every day, and they're comfortable. And I'm going to skip a couple things because they're a little personal. As if everything I'm sharing hasn't been personal so far. Sensory issues. I hate putting on clothes when my skin is wet or damp. Like everyone else in my family, they get dressed in the bathroom after they take a shower or a bath or whatever, but I can't. The air is too humid. I can't feel dry enough, and I hate putting clothes on when my skin is damp. So I have to wrap up in a towel and go to my room to fully dry off before I can get dressed. I also hate the feeling of wearing wet clothes. So like if I've been out in the rain, I hate that. Taking off wet clothes, peeling off a wet swimsuit after going swimming, putting clothes on over a wet swimsuit, just all those things I don't like. I don't like it. There's a series of children's songs that I go through in my head over and over again in the exact same order every time. They kind of help me to calm down, kind of ground myself. I'm not good at estimating time. For remembering things in my childhood, I tend to rely on where we were living at the time to tell me how old I was when certain things happened. I did mention that we were a military family. My dad was in the Air Force, and so we did move a few different places. And so if I'm trying to remember how old was I when such and such happened, I try to remember, well, where was I living at the time, and that gives me at least a range of when it happened. It's harder now that I'm an adult because we've lived in the same place for so long. And so I'll be like, well, I know that we were living here, but that doesn't help much because that could be anything in the last 12 years. So Yeah, I hate trying to figure out how long something has been going on or how long ago something happened because I just don't know and it makes me anxious. When I enter a social event, I have to look around, I have to take it all in. Like just right at first, there's this moment of anxiety, and I don't know where to go, what to do, how to behave. I have to like look and see what everyone else is doing. Finding a place to sit or a group to sit or stand with is causes me anxiety. Once I've processed the general feel of the room and found a place where I can sit, I do feel a little bit better, but it's still hard because I don't feel like I belong or like people are really happy to see me. Like they act happy, but I don't know if they really are. People expressing strong emotion makes me uncomfortable. I do experience a great deal of empathy, but I don't know what to do with it. So, like seeing somebody being absolutely miserable and crying and just having a really hard time, I feel so strongly and so hard. I feel that misery, but I don't know what to do to make it better. I can't fix it. I can't think of what do I say, what do I do, how do I react. So it's really uncomfortable. I love puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, Sudoku, logic puzzles, Minesweeper. I like things that are like puzzles, like sentence diagramming, algebra. That stuff is fun for me. I don't remember most of the algebra that I learned, but I would pick it up again really quickly if I were to study it. I used to be really good at remembering numbers or sequences of numbers. I still remember some of my childhood phone numbers. Now that I'm older, my memory isn't quite as good, but I can do fairly well with sequences of numbers. Apparently, I miss the cues that tell guests when to leave a social setting. I have often found myself the last one still there at the end of get-togethers, even when my relationship with the host is not enough to not close enough to warrant staying and being the last one to leave. I think I've gotten a little bit better at this, but especially as a young adult, going to things for church or school activities and just the various social get-togethers that you have as a young adult. It happened a lot. Like I was always the last one there, and I was like, why did everyone leave? How did they know they were supposed to leave, and how do I know when I'm supposed to leave? It doesn't make sense. I always park in the same place when I go to specific stores. If I have to park someplace else, I get disoriented and have a hard time finding my car. So like there's the specific aisle and the specific side of the aisle, and about this specific distance from the entrance that I like to park in when I go to this particular store. And for this particular store, I go down this aisle and I park in this general area. So yeah, it's really hard if I can't park in that area and I have to try to remember where I've parked that isn't that area. So that's fun. I've lost my car a few times and just had to like wander around completely befuddled, like, where did I park? I don't remember. For years, I have had to sit at the head of the table. It's my spot. Ever since my early teens, that's my seat. That's where I sit. I don't like sitting along the side of the table. It's really uncomfortable for me. If we do like go out to a restaurant or something and I can't sit at the end of the table, then if I have to sit along the side, I very much prefer to sit right next to the end of the table. I recently realized that when I'm really excited about something, I pace back and forth. My sister was, they were moving, and they stopped at our house on the way from their old place to their new place, and they brought all of their animals with them, and they have a lot of animals. But she had some dwarf hamsters that she didn't really want anymore, or she had actually never wanted them. She got them because she wanted their enclosure for one of her other animals, and she gave them a different enclosure, but she didn't want them. And basically I asked if I could have them, and she let me. And I was just like walking back and forth in the living room, smiling, and just staring at the floor, smiling, walking back and forth, because I was happy that I got to keep the hamsters. And this is like just a few months ago, and I only noticed it because I had family over. I had my sister and her husband, and my parents were there, and I was more self-conscious than I would have been if it was just me and my husband and kids. So yeah, when I'm like really happy about something, I walk back and forth. Let's see. Now we're at stimming, and I'm going to do a separate video for that. And special interest, and I'm actually going to do a separate video about that. So that is my, scrolling back up to the top, that is my document of the things that I noticed in myself that gave me pause and made me wonder, am I not neurotypical? Because I feel like I'm not neurotypical. Yeah, probably not everything on there is an autistic trait. Probably most things on, well, maybe not most, but a lot of things on there are things that almost everyone can relate to, but just like all added up, and with all the stuff that I shared in my previous video, yeah, it just makes me think there's no way that I'm actually a normal person, is there? Yeah. So like I said in the beginning of this video, my results appointment is tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I go to meet with the evaluator who, the lady who evaluated me. She also evaluated my daughter and gave her her diagnosis. Yeah, I'm nervous. It almost doesn't feel real, like it's not sinking in. I haven't processed, and I don't know, I'll probably have some intense processing to go through tomorrow, no matter what the results end up being, whether it comes back that I am autistic or am not. I have the option of bringing my husband to the appointment, and I'm still not 100% decided if I'm going to or not. Like if I do bring him, that would be moral support, and yeah, it might be nice, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that I went over with the evaluator and that I put in my document and everything, it's not really stuff that I've discussed a great deal with my husband. Like I've shared some of this stuff with him, but there's a lot that we just haven't talked about, and I don't know, I'm thinking that I might be embarrassed to have him there as she goes over all of my weirdness. And then I feel like I'll need some time to process before I'm really comfortable talking or being around anybody. So I've gone back and forth with whether I want him there or not, and right now I'm leaning towards more just wanting to do it alone, and then talk to him when I get home and I'm ready to people again. So that's where I'm at. Just waiting and wondering what tomorrow's gonna be like, how it's gonna turn out. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, and I expect that I will be updating again tomorrow with my results. Bye.